It comes and goes.
Okay. James
I've never been a
James
fast
Clavell
reader.
was the James Clavell is the author, American historical fiction author that did like Taipan and Rat King and the probably his big one is a bunch of others that I read as well. But the big one was Shogun.
Oh,
And it's
I can
it's
tell you that
all
on my SATs getting into college, I aced the math. This is back when it
Mhm.
was 1600, but I got 1190. So that's
Okay.
how good my reading is.
Nice. That's wonderful.
It's not that
Um,
good.
Okay, well, but you can read, so that's important. But
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
James Clavell wrote this book called Shogun, and it was about feudal Japan in the 1600s when the English arrive, the very first English arrive in Japan's, and they sort of he documents that it's fiction, but it's historical, right? It's actually what did happen and how the colonial aspect of things and how Japan is the leader of Japan has just died, and the warlords are now are fighting for sort of power and dominance. And anyway, the FX put out uh, a series based on the novels, and I
Oh,
watched the first episode last night. Mwah. It is
nice.
good. I recommend.
Let's
It
plug that
is.
again.
It's hmm?
What? Let's plug that again. What's it called?
Yeah, Shogun. It
Shogun.
is
Simple.
excellent.
Okay.
The first two episodes have come out. I only watched the first one last night, but it is excellent. The set pieces and the cinematography are brilliant, and the way that they depict it looks it's really visually stunning. I know the story already because I read the book many years ago, but it's still really spectacular. It reminded me a little bit of when the first Lord of the Rings movies came out. Again, I read those books many times and loved them, followed them very happily. And when I watched the movie, I was like, the first movie, I was like, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, go check it
Yeah,
out. I recommend.
I'm sure I'd be
Even if you
into
don't
it.
know the books, go watch it. It's really excellent.
Yeah, I'm sure I'd be into it because like the first game I had the PS5 was Ghost of Tsushima, which
Oh yeah, sure.
I didn't realize until after I'd played it that it was actually based on, factual
Yeah,
past. But of course they had
that's
their
right.
artistic
Yeah, they
freedom with it.
Well, it's
But
the same as this. I don't again. I read those. I read the books in in high school, universities, it was like 100 years ago. So I don't exactly remember the details. So it feels
that's
kind of
good.
fresh and new to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's taken. I'm sure I'm going to read some reviews online that people will be like, "Oh, he strayed this way and he did that thing," and I genuinely don't care. It's a really good watch.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Lord of the Rings a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, a lot. I could talk to you for days about all the things Peter Jackson
Yeah,
didn't include.
missed. He didn't miss it. I would say.
Excluded Tom Bombadil, man. That can never be
Yeah.
forgiven.
I mean, like, yeah. But
No, I can't because that's the
like
seminal moment where Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin decide to go adventuring. It's they're about to die by the Barrow Wights, and Tom Bombadil comes and rescues them. Well, actually his wife does, but he then comes in and takes them away and scares the Wights away. Otherwise, they would die, and that's like they're like, oh, if this guy can be brave in the face of danger, then so can we. And none of that scene. That's when they first leave the Shire, right? It's a really important scene in the story. Doesn't get included.
Is he alluded to at all?
Nope.
You
Not
know, I
even a
mean,
little
that's because like he filmed like 12 hours of movie, he had to cut down to 3. It's
Yeah.
like some of those cuts, it's like cutting off your own arm. I'm sure they probably filmed it and they cast Troubadour. What's his name?
I don't think they did. I think they just, if I remember reading about it right, they said no, we're not doing. They just didn't do it. But whatever.
Got to stick to a storyboard. Yeah. Hey, dude.
Yeah.
We're on the internet.
Are we on some internets?
Yeah, finally took a little hiatus there.
It took a while.
Yeah, it took a while. We had
right,
some.
welcome.
We had some. Oh, yeah. I guess I'll jump in. No, I'll jump into it after. Go ahead. Let's introduce ourselves.
Hey, welcome to Critters in Taiwan, a D&D podcast about Critical Role, where a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons. I am Ben and Gaosheng.
I am Tim and Taiwan.
We're Critters in Taiwan.
Yes, we are.
And we had some technical difficulties yesterday, so we're a day late on this one.
Yeah, this beautiful old PC that I have occasionally has an issue where it boots up really slow and then it doesn't see some of my programs. It's happened a few times over the last couple of years. yesterday when it's like, hey, what time are we going to start streaming, Tim? And I'm like, haven't been able to start the computer. So I had to reset the thing. I had to re-download everything. And my Adobe Premiere is gone, so I can't edit things. So I got to make sure I do this just right. So we missed a day. So this is coming out just a day late. But hey, we should be all right.
This stuff happens.
Be slightly different, but we'll be all right.
One of the cats was running around in the apartment a couple of months ago, and
she knew.
knocked over the PC, and it turned off. And when I plugged it back in again, it just comes up a red screen. It's like, hey, this computer, that's just BIOS. There's no drives in this computer. I open it up. All the drives are there, but they're not reading. It's literally, and I had to take out every single wire, all the things, so I did plug everything back in again. Still nothing. I did that like 4 times, and then finally the last time I did it, it booted up. So yeah, these things happen.
Well, of course it's the last time. Why would you do it if it worked?
Right. Well, sometimes I could be better.
Yeah, because I've done that before too. Like the first time I did it, it lied to me because I took everything out, plugged everything back in, and it worked. And I'm like, oh, that's the fix. Okay, cool. And then it happened again. So I took everything out, plugged it back in, and it didn't work the second time. And that's when I freaked out. I
remember when
I did it one more time, and then it worked. So I'm like, I don't know if that's even the problem.
Yeah, I remember when I was in school, and my roommate was working for he was at an IT school or something. He was doing, I don't exactly remember the details, but he was teaching us. He was learning how to build PCs and how to troubleshoot them and how to do like the IT stuff. And he was showing us. And I remember those days when you set the chip and you had to put this thing in and you had to like put the wires together, solder them. Everything is all just plug and play now. You just pop things out off the motherboard and clip them in, and it's all the RAM is super easy to put in, and
quite easy these days.
You kids have no idea how lucky you have it.
Yeah, some people say like Ryan, if you're watching, some people say I overpaid for mine, but it had really good specs 5 years ago whenever COVID happened.
Right.
And, when I look in there, it's just like, yeah, just put this in there, but I don't know where the things go. I guess the clips all have different, orientations to them, so it only goes into one place.
Probably take a picture of it next time, and then you'll know.
Yeah, like take things out, take a picture, put it, And I need some upgrades. It's 5 years old, so it's still a great computer, but
mine's like 8-9 years old. It's right on that edge of it might be time.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait it out right to the very end. I don't game, right? So I just need it for this and for watching TV. That's really all I need it for.
Yeah. And maybe one of those days when I come down to your neck of the woods and we do a stream from down there.
Could do.
Do.
Yeah. Big one, maybe number 100 or something. But 14 more to get to 100.
Oh, jeez.
Couple more months.
Yeah, when I finally get to sit
come
down
on
a
the
train.
Summer here, it'll be great.
Yeah, great. Well, just like going to standing room for the HSR. Now I'll be able to sit by then.
Yeah, I hope so. Hey, buddy, tonight we got to talk about this episode.
Yeah, I'm psyched to hear what it's called.
Number 86, Campaign 3. Doorways to Darker Depths.
They love to alliterate.
They do. Doorways to Darker Depths. I got things to say about this episode.
I have very little.
I have a lot of questions.
It's a great episode. I've got a lot of questions too. I think most of mine's going to be conversational. It was a great episode, and I've got lots of conversational. Nothing, no strong points to write down though.
85 ended on that big cliffhanger of the, like where we're in the thing and we got a back door here and what's going to happen. So it was really fun to see how that all played out.
Yeah.
I sent you. I want to clarify something. I sent you a message last week about a term that I said I had never heard before, which was quantum ogres.
Yeah.
I lied.
That's all you said.
Yeah, I lied about that. I actually did. When I sat down, I sent that message, and I'm like, I never heard that before. That's wild. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, no, I do know what that means. I have heard that term before, way back in the day, and I do know what it means. So a quantum ogre in role-playing games and TTRPGs are basically you come to the idea is very simple. You come to a path, you come to a fork in the road, and you take it. No, you come to a fork in the road, and you can either go left or right. And the DM, you tell the DM, okay, our party's going to go left, or we're going to go right, or whatever direction you're going to go. And it doesn't matter which way they go. The DM is still going to put the ogres there. They are quantum ogres. They exist in Right. They exist
Right.
in both places at the same time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the idea being, when I said that, I was like, okay, what is going on here with this idea of, I'm talking about last episode, 85, with this idea of Matt. So they're saying, okay, you guys are farts, and you're going through this crevasse, and you see this thing, and this is the geode, and inside the geode you find a little stream, and you go up the stream and you find the temple. So what are the odds of them finding the right crevasse that leads them to the place, that gets them to there, to go to that, to blah blah blah? What are the odds? Well, that's the quantum ogre. It doesn't
Right.
really matter what they did, it was always going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
And this is one of those devices that once you sort of peek behind the curtain and you realize, you get a little, it's a little, you know.
Yeah.
Is this railroading?
Right.
You know,
That's
or
what we're flirting
What are we
with.
doing
Is
here?
potential
So
railroading, right?
Yeah. So it feels a little bit.
Doesn't matter what you do. What I wrote down, that's what we're doing.
Right. And there's not really anything wrong with that, because that's what they're having fun and all of that. But when you
that's
feel
most of the
that,
dice rolling games I've ever played is those. It's like, this is
Yeah.
the campaign, so you're the hero,
So
you're
like-
not.
Yeah, and that's sort of like, unless it's a big open sandbox of a world, or universe or whatever it may be, that's what you're going to be doing. So that's all good. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that, because that's sort of what happened last week. But this week we got other things to talk about, because they went through this back door.
Oh, behave. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I've got a lot. I think most of it's just going to come out in chat with chat. Hey, well, anybody else who happened to be in chat too. Yeah, I've got lots to say about it. I mean, should we roll and let it happen, or?
I've got some. I only rolled one natural. I was talking to Tim about this earlier. It's a national holiday here in Taiwan. 228 is National Day, I believe it's called.
National Peace Day, right?
National Peace Day. Yeah. So we had a holiday today, and my Curse of Strahd campaign decided to schedule a session for today, an all day morning, afternoon. We started at 10 a.m., which was early, but it was all good. I only rolled one natural 20 today. I didn't roll any ones, but I only rolled one natural 20. So my dice are due. Just letting you know.
I just realized, because I had to reset everything. Start streaming doesn't automatically start recording. It's fine. I can just pull this from Twitch.
Oh, okay.
But that might take a little bit when we're done. But just a reminder, note to self, push both buttons.
Push both buttons. Uh-oh. Okay.
So what happens when you got to restart everything, man?
It's going to be, it'll be okay, though? You will be able to take it?
Yeah, you are allowed to get those things as long as it's your video.
Oh, as long as it's yours, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
good.
if you choose to shave today, you forget to brush your teeth. That's how I work. Stupid.
Okay.
Brain. Anyway, sorry. I'm just looking at start recording. I'm like, fuck.
I forgot to press that button. It's all good.
We'll be fine. We can just pull it down.
Shall we roll some dice?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Alrighty. The Matthew die won, so expect to lose. I got a 13.
I got a 6.
I was kind of hoping you would win that one.
Yeah, my dice were not great today, but they didn't need to be.
Okay, I think maybe if I go chronological order, Ashton and I.
How novel.
Ashton and I were on the same page. This was in the first half still, I believe, when they found the little village.
Yep.
And they were like, oh, yeah, it's a nice little place. And they're like, it's full of dust. There's no sign of struggle. It's just like, okay, it's a little bit strange. And I believe they had mentioned the spoopy word a couple of times.
That word's funny.
Yeah. It's all over Reddit and Twitch. And some people hate it around Halloween. It's like, I'm not fucking saying spoopy. It's just a good word.
It is kind of silly.
It's a good word. I like it. Spoopy. Come on.
Silly.
Like, maybe it's just got too popular or something. And, I was getting those spoopy vibes as well. And then, they're like, well, hey, it's a nice village. We can just sit down and, crash here. And I'm like, no. Don't, they were saying, any sign saying, hey, stay away, there's a plague, or, anything like that. And then Ashton, I think it was either Imogen saying,
it was Imogen,
this is a nice place. We could just lay down, finally get a long rest. And then Ashton was like, there's probably a reason they left. And that was it. Nobody said that or talked about it again. And I was like, that's exactly what I was thinking. And I'm like, Ash, you and me, we don't usually go on the same lines here. But
Matt was just dropping so many hints that this was horror.
Of course.
This is not a good place to be. And they were not picking up on it.
How could you
Yeah.
not? Nothing's
I
disturbed. There's thick
I
layers of dust.
think
There's not even footprints leaving, which is kind of odd because they did go to the. I mean, it's been, what did they say, 5 years ish?
yeah, they yeah, something like that. Been a while. They
The bird, right? The bird was
it
like, oh, I think it's been
felt
5 years.
yeah, well, which is weird because I don't think owls actually live that long, but and whatever. Um, the
Owls?
the the no, I think like little owls like that, they don't live very. Little birds don't live long. You know that here's a super tangent. Birds in
Super
general
tangent.
have an 84% mortality rate at 1 year old.
Yeah, makes
84%
sense.
of birds globally, for all birds, 84% of them don't make it to 1 year.
I mean, a lot of them get killed in the nest just by their mom.
Sure, but they don't. But just to 1 year. So birds don't. It's a K selected, I believe, is the term. Is K selected or R selected? I forget what the one is. But one, you have a lot of offspring, a lot often, so you don't have to worry about that.
Oh,
We are the opposite. We have like few, and we take care of them.
yeah.
But yeah.
I
Anyway,
don't know. I forgot which one's
so
which.
yeah, I forget which one's which. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so birds don't live very long. But no, what I did want to say about that, if I may, yes, end it.
Yeah, that's all I got there.
The right, it
I was
was
like, good
very
job,
poignant.
Ash. Yeah.
It felt like they were tired, really tired.
They hadn't had a
All of
long rest in a long time, right?
no. I mean the cast.
Oh, the players.
The players felt really, really tired.
Maybe
I
they
was
also
looking through my
hadn't.
notes. I started writing down. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9, 10, 11, a dozen references of why are they not, they're not thinking straight. They're doing silly things. They're making a mistake here. They're not, and I'm like, they're tired. They're flat. They're really, I wonder if there's something happened. Like if they had a really busy week with recording for Legend of Vox Machina or Mighty Nine or some other things that they've been doing. Who knows what it is? Candela Obscura, the other stuff. It felt like they were exhausted. There were multiple references in this episode of, yeah, it's been a week. Oh yeah, it's been hard this week. Oh yeah, I know we've really done a lot. And there's multiple references throughout the episode where they say how tired they are and how sort of things weren't really super funny and they weren't super excited at times.
Did something get mentioned? Because I might be confusing the excitement because I know with Two Bears, One Cave, they just released a vodka that they had to keep secret. And another podcast, Bad Friends, Bobby Lee just finished filming Borderlands. But then also it's Andrew Santino did something else. I thought I saw something about they had something too. Like, I thought Laura did something that she couldn't talk about or something. Am I fucking out of my mind here? Am I confusing that with something? Do you know anything about what they've done? Yeah, I thought I picked up on something. I might just be confusing it with these other two things.
I think she said that about, I'm looking at, like I usually write down all of the things they talk about at the beginning. I think she said we wanted to talk about this for a while, but we haven't been able to, which was the oversized D20, the Lux and Beacon liquid dice. The one that it has. I think that's what she was talking about. Might
wonder if maybe that's what triggered my. I was like, oh, so they've been busy in secret. Yeah, yeah.
I just felt like it was this whole episode had a flat kind of a feel to it, and they made some mistakes. Like there was no reason for any of that nonsense to happen if they had just stayed in the place and in the little safe tunnel on the moon, got a long rest, and then got up, cast the spells again, and then go to Exandria and do the stuff.
Well, they would lose the farts.
Fine, so what?
Yeah, I mean,
it ended up meaning nothing anyway.
I was gonna say that
because they ended up
not even going back.
They used it a couple of times at the lake, at the little village, like for minor little things. So Imogen flew up, looked around, and then went down. That was it. And then they fought the thing.
Could have gone back into the thing, and then as she mentioned,
they go back. Then they end up having a long rest anyway, and then they get up and they leave. It's like that. It ended up not. So there's these mistakes that were made, and there was, I don't know if you noticed a lot, but a lot of I told you so's. Oh, we should have done this. We should have done that. We should have. See, I told you. Yeah, if you just, even Travis, who I thought was sort of, he'd never do the I told you so. If you just listened to me, we would have got the long rest. I'm like, wow. So it felt like they were tired. That's all. That's my comment.
Yeah, I just added the other point that I forgot to write down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did seem tired. I mean, Ashton seemed to be the voice of reason this whole time. It's like, we shouldn't stay here because they're gone for a reason. And also before they turned into farts,
Yep.
he's like, okay, that makes sense to go scout, come back, and then
Yep.
rest because he was parched and everybody's running out of stuff. And
He
before they went
kept
to
saying,
bed, they
he's like,
spent everything.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
Yeah. Like right before they farted out of the thing, he was like, I'm going to lay down because if we got in a fist fight, you would probably win. You know, that kind of thing.
Fun quote.
Another rollie then, eh?
Another rollie.
Yeah, this one's, if I win this one, it might be a little bit
16.
contingent.
16.
14, all yours, buddy.
16. Okay. So at about it's like about an hour and a bit. Their FCG and FCG versus Matt's bird is what I wrote down here. Is one that was amazing. Matt's owl was so fucking creepy and weird, and he wasn't blinking. He blinked a couple of times, but then as soon as Sam said he's not blinking, he full on didn't blink for a while.
I couldn't see it. It was in my pocket, but
he blinked. If I went back and I looked, I was like, rewind that. No, he did blink a couple of times, but they weren't really paying attention. So I think it kind of looked like he never blinked once, which was pretty funny. But
I think it was
here's something I never noticed.
I think it was Marisha that was like, "Oh God, he's actually not blinking." After he said that.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Why does this? I never noticed this before, and I sort of went back and I looked at things, and I did a little bit of research on the internet about it.
Oh, did you?
Why does FCG have speak with animals?
I never questioned that.
It's not a cleric spell. Clerics can't get it. It's ranger, druid, sorcerer, maybe. I think sorcerer. Sorcerer, ranger, druid is only the three. Ranger and druid for sure. I forget the other one. But clerics don't get access to it unless, and this is where the internet was a big help for me, it's a domain spell. So like clerics, when they choose their domains, like we don't, and this is sort of where my point is. A life cleric would do a domain spell would be like, what's it called? It's the one that they get is aura of vitality or aura of life, I think, which they can cast as a spell, and it doesn't cost them a spell slot. It doesn't cost a spell slot. They automatically add it. Doesn't cost them anything. They can cast it like once or twice a long rest or something like that. I forget what the details are. But they get this spell that they normally wouldn't get. It's called a domain spell. So Speak with Animals is clearly one of FCG's domain spells. Why? Why would Faithful Caregiver need Speak with Animals? That's my my question. I don't have an answer. I have an idea, but I don't really have an answer for it.
Think back to Dancer. Did she have any little critters running around? I don't think she did, right? She just
They're
had
all
a team.
automatons. It's got to be before that. It's got to be before. It's got to be Aor.
Like Aor or
wherever he comes, where it's got to be from back then. But my question sort of is why? Why would FCG have that?
It's like the way I retcon things in my head, it's like I think of like, okay, Faithful Caregiver, and like why? And the immediate thing that would pop up is at some point in his life that he doesn't remember, they had a pet that he also took care of them. That's where my mind went.
My thought as well.
And I'm fine with that,
100%. That's
but I did
exactly
never question it
like,
either.
right, if he's supposed to be a personal assistant bot, then maybe the family that he's looking after, they have a pet, or they go out into the wilderness or something, and he can talk with the animals for the kids or for whatever it may be. He can be that translator for them, and that totally makes sense. I find it kind of interesting that would be a thing that this robot would be doing now. I mean, he's cast this spell before. He's used it before, but it never really occurred to me that why he would have it. And I guess that's the answer why, but I wonder if Sam knows that and is using it as a device for the other players to question him about it. Like why he's able to speak with animals when like he does it so often. He seems to be he uses it a few times, but nobody ever really questions. They just sort of assume that he can do that. And I wonder if Sam is waiting for one of them to ask him.
Or
if he even knows why.
There's a lot of that going on, because there's so much homebrew that people just kind of let things fly until they figure it out.
it's the unfortunate part. Like, I mean, Ashton is the king of that, right? We've talked about that ad nauseum about how he constantly pulls out the homebrew stuff, and everybody's just like, oh yeah, Taliesin's doing a thing again where we don't know what it is, and
Yeah, we'll
they're
just
just gonna
go,
find
"Well,
out.
we'll
And
see you
so I
later."
think they sort of don't really question each other's little abilities, which I feel is a shame. It's a you kind of should be having. It's one of those things. I feel this like the Mighty Nine had those moments, multiple. Vox Machina had multiple moments where they were sitting around and they were chatting openly about their things. There's in the Mighty Nine, the famous conversation where Caleb and Yasha you throw your parents under the bridge. You know, that's just what you do. They have these open, honest conversations about their backstory and about their things that happened. This campaign, it doesn't feel like they do that as much. It feels like they leave those things for just sort of like, oh, well, that person's weird, so we'll just leave it at them being weird, and it's all good. And that's unfortunate. I feel that's missing out. That's missing opportunities.
There's a hell of a lot of we just don't know, you know, like like we've talked about before. When I watch a movie, I don't try to guess what's going on. I mean, you can't help but try to when you're watching like a 2-hour movie, you know, but I try to sit back and be like, nope. And then secretly I'll be like, I think this person did this, you know, but I just won't tell anybody. I'll be like, I don't know. I'm just going to keep watching. But I do have my theories all the time. But in this case, there's so much shit going on. Like, I don't know, maybe they have a secret thing with this person and I just don't know yet. Because that seems to be how we get this information in this third campaign is, and you feel this. And it's like, what? You know, there's a bit of this in a yes and, if you don't mind.
No, do it.
I'm going to jump back a little bit, but it's going to come barreling right back into what we just said. Once again, Laura, know you were watching. She jumps right into the metagame as soon as Orem gets his leg. He's like, huh, I got to go check outside. I think he might be here.
That was actually ahead of that part. I've got that written down as well.
Oh, okay, I meant jumping back, I guess, is our conversation.
Oh, sorry, okay. Gotcha.
Because that, like, immediately when that happened, I just was counting the seconds before Laura goes, what? No. And it's like, character, okay? Character.
Yeah.
And he's like...
She panics. Genuinely panics. Like, she's like, oh, God. What do I... And it becomes, it's that panic moment where she's genuinely concerned about as Laura. Character player or whatever. Yeah.
And they've seen it before with like kind of like with Vokodo kind of back in the day, you know? Like there seems to be like one element of this at some point in each campaign where it's like, and you just do this. Like I guess with Craven Edge with Grog, you know.
Right.
He makes decisions based 100%. On something that nobody else can hear, you know?
Yes.
And she's just seen it so many times, she doesn't want to see it happen. It's like, yeah, I get that, sure. But like she jumps right into like Laura mode. Laura was Imogen
You gotta
instead.
let it play out. It would have been so much
Liam
better.
did a great job of it.
He did.
I mean, I kind of have 2 points here for it.
An amazing job on that one. He walked over. Remember, he walked over to the door, and he's like, "I gotta walk over to the door, and I'm gonna put my hammer at the door."
Yeah.
And then Matt's like, "Oh, Ashton, you hear it too?" He's like, "Huh?
Got to go outside."
I hear that. We should go outside, like on a dime.
Yeah.
180 it. I'm like, "Oh, that's the way you play it. That's the way you play it."
And there was no role for it either. I liked that.
No,
it was just like Matthew just putting it on him.
You
don't like that?
If you go back in the episode and you watch,
wait, did Orm have to roll for it?
No, Matt rolled for them.
Oh, okay.
Matt rolled behind the screen.
And if it's over a something, I don't know.
I have it written down here. I'm like, okay, it's kind of interesting because I've got a timestamp for it. 150, 1 hour 50 minutes 55 seconds. Matt
New GIF.
He makes a couple of rolls behind the screen, and that's when Orem gets charmed, and then Ashton gets charmed, and FCG gets charmed, and Chetney gets charmed, but the witches don't.
Right.
And I kind of know why. It makes sense why Laudna because they have higher saves for depending on what kind of save it is. If it's a charisma save or if it's a wisdom save, they would have higher saves than the other ones. Although I don't know. It was interesting.
Even think of that.
But when I went back and I watched it a couple of times, Matt rolls like it sounds like 2 dice. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, okay, if it's only 2 dice, why there's 7 players there? Is he rolling for all of them or is he rolling multiples? I just can't hear it, but it looks like he's only rolling for a couple. So I'm kind of curious. I'd like to know what's happening behind that screen. There's a thing that's happening there and I don't know what it is.
Who wouldn't like to see that, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And this is when we get all those I told you so's, because we go to the break right then as well, and it's like, no, we're not long. You never got our long rest. We're all tapped. We got nothing left, and they're going into combat.
Yeah, I liked how Travis played it. You know, because like he's going outside, and like, well, yeah, you gotta go outside. He wasn't even affected by it yet. He's like, yeah, sure, let's go check it out.
He was told. Matt told him. He said, yeah, it feels like something's wrong with that portal. Maybe you should go check it out.
Oh, see, I didn't hear that part. The only thing I heard was like, I
Chetney
gotta check on the portal.
Yeah, Chetney was like, oh, I think we should go check on the portal. I think there's something wrong with it.
Well, see, that's not the first time he said he should go outside. It's like Orem was like, yeah, I gotta go see. I feel like there's something outside. And we're like, yeah, sure, let's go outside. You know, like why wouldn't you go with your buddy to see what's outside? Like And then, like, Ashton was like, hold on, why is Imogen acting so crazy? And then also, Laudna got in there. She was like, no. He's like, what do you mean, no? He's not doing anything crazy. He just thought he heard something outside. But the only thing strange about that would be Orem being like, I'm just going to go outside, instead of saying, hey, guys, I heard something. Can we go check it out? Somebody come with me. That's the only strange part. And Imogen didn't say anything about that. All she said was like, why wouldn't he respond if he was outside? It's like, Laura, you're in character. Cut.
Yeah, it was a panic moment for sure. I have a thing about that I'd like to talk about, which I find curious and maybe a little bit. I want to know reasons, because there should be reasons. So if we go back just a little bit before that, which is
reasons,
which is like at 1 hour 36 minutes and 58 seconds. Orem picks up the sending stone and calls Caleb, Widowgast, and Caleb has this fucking, it's like, wait, sending works? What the fuck? What's going on here? Then then Imogen has the very long conversation with Jester, which is fucking hilarious. There was a comedy moment there.
Real quick with Orem and Widowgast. He says it, and Matthew was going to go immediately into it, but he got interrupted with Laura doing something. It might have been Imogen. You know, she had some question that was kind of, secondary, tangential, something like that. But Matthew, you could see him, like, as soon as Orem finished, he went up and he just let her talk for a second. And then, like, I really wish it was that immediate. I wish he didn't get interrupted. That would have made that so much more powerful.
So,
because Widowgast wouldn't hesitate,
No,
he would just be like, oh, I heard this, fucking respond, if he could, right?
Yep. So they have that moment, which is Liam's character talking to Liam's old character. Then we have Laura talk with Laura's new character talking to Laura's old character. Awesome parallel there.
I think Laura started getting teary. I think she got emotional.
She was so happy. The look on her face.
I think Ashley was like looking under, being like, "Is she? Yeah, I think so."
It was very sentimental. But here's what happens, right? So. Orem talks to Caleb. They have a conversation. Then Jester talks to Imogen. They have a long conversation and burn through all their spells. And then right at that moment, where is it? Blah blah blah. I wrote it down here. It's at the like 1 hour 50-minute mark ish, something like that. Orem calls Dorian.
Yeah.
That's when Matt says, before he responds, you hear something outside. You need to go outside and check it out. Dorian didn't respond. At 3 hours, 20 minutes exactly, Orem asks Imogen, why didn't Dorian answer? And Laura and Imogen's like, well, maybe he was asleep or something. Doesn't work that way. It should have gone through. Why didn't it go through?
It goes into your head, right?
Yeah.
Could be on a different plane. Could be dead.
Why did Matt play it? Like immediately, I was thinking, I'm like, holy fuck, is Matt gonna do the thing where he waits for Robbie to record a message again, like they did once before, and send the message, or is Matt going to play as Dorian and just spin it some way? But he doesn't. He chooses not to respond at all, which is. So my thing is, okay, why? Why did he do that? Is Dorian dead?
It's a little
Is
alarming.
Is
On another
Dorian like
plane.
couldn't respond? Did he lose the stone? Is something changed? But none of that ever gets questioned. None of that ever really gets answered. And the look on Matt's face is very, as we've said before, his terrible poker face, where he knows something that you don't know and he's not going to tell you. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I think it's interesting that he doesn't say anything. And Dorian should have replied in some way or another.
Does it cross planes?
They're in Exandria at that point.
Well, if he's not.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's true. But if they're not on planes, it should have been staticky. Maybe not. Maybe it just wouldn't have worked. That's possible.
Because if it's from Ruidus, I think it gets staticky, right?
If it's on the moon, we know that they can't cross the gate, that lattice that's around the moon. Except the only way you get through, because when they went back to the moon later, they tried sending and it doesn't work at all. It's just static.
Yeah.
But they can do sending from person to person on the moon, and now they can do sending from person to person on Exandria. They just can't get between them. So.
Yeah, has there ever been a thing in the past? I feel like there has, where they try it and it doesn't find a target, and everyone goes, oh, "We got to find out what it is." It was like Jester's mom or something like that, where they got freaked out. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's been a while since I got in touch with him. Anyway, right? It's been tens of episodes.
Yes. It's been, somebody posted somewhere on, I think it was through Reddit on the Critical Role sub. Somebody said that they have a history of about the longest time between guests is 24 or 25 episodes, and they're right at that point now between guests. So we may be starting next month with a guest, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah.
If the pattern holds.
Nice little jukes. Yeah, find someone on the moon. God damn, like thinking back to all those guests they've had, We actually had like a villain guest at one point, and like it's kind of hard to remember. Like it seems like so incontiguous other than the moon.
I'm hoping that somebody in the Volition will turn out to be a guest. A guest player will come in and from the Volition, the rebels on the moon. That's my sort of my hope, is that one of them will be. Should we do another rollie?
Yeah, sure.
12.
Unnatural 1.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I just want to say, like, the lake battle was weird.
It was battle.
I want to when Laudna rolls a shitty perception check to look around for boats, and Matt's like, yeah, there's no boats. And she's like, okay, I look under the water for boats. And I'm just like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Like, I was like, it wasn't that bad of a perception roll, but I never even thought that, oh yeah, maybe some of the boats have sunk. She impressed the fuck out of me, because she clearly had it in her mind. She was like, I'm going to animate a boat. I have this spell I want to use. I'm going to look for a boat. I'm going to animate it. And she's like, okay, there's a boat. Where are the boats? They're not here. Are they down there? But she didn't say any of that. That must have been what was going on in her mind, because then when she started, she's like, yeah, you see lots of boats. She's like, I cast animate object on one of them. And then the boaty and ropey voices that Matt came up with on the fly, mwah, fucking chef's kiss, man. So good. But my question is, I really, really, really want to know what this thing was that they fought.
I often think, was it on the fly, or did Matthew have those in the chamber? And he just the boat made some sense, like what do you need, miss? But then when he went to the scarecrow from fucking Wizard of Oz,
the ropey was amazing. It had them in tears. It was like, Travis
had me close.
When Travis laughed,
I broke
like
out
that,
on the MRT. Everybody's quiet, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Rewind.
Hey, I go over here.
Perfect for a rope,
So good.
Perfect for a boat as well.
No, it was very good. But so they fight this thing in the water, and Imogen gets a intelligence with her detect thoughts. FCG gets undead, so he does turn undead. So what is this thing? If you're listening, I want to know. Nobody knows what this entity is. And if it is an undead entity that is like some weird seaweed undead I wrote down like it could be a modified reskinned aboleth. It might be like a false reskinned false hydra. There's like a bunch of different ideas what it might be. Matt just calls it. He calls it entity and shadow. Those are the two things that he calls it. And I'm like, well, what is it? And for fuck's sakes, why didn't it go through the portal?
Got some things over here.
Why? If it's so close, like Matt said, like it's only a few hundred meters away, maybe, or a few hundred yards or something like that. Why? Why didn't it go into the portal?
Maybe it came through the portal once already, and now it wants to stay here.
How?
Or maybe it made the portal, or I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe it's escaping.
that's interesting.
Maybe it's from the moon, and it's like, oh, this is
Do you
better,
think
but I'm hungry after 5 years.
it's an undead entity that would come from the moon, which doesn't have any water? The only water from the moon comes from this place, as far as we know. And that geode that they were in, so there is some fucked up shit there. Like geodes take thousands of years to form, tens of thousands of years, a long fucking time to form. The moon is only like, we don't really know, but less than 1,000 or so. No way that geode forms there unless through magic or something like that. But if all of that lake water is just going through there and coming through and then washing around and creating these underground tunnels through the moon and waterfalls and little things like that, it's weird, man. There's a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, the undead, and then the fact that I'm putting these two things together here because it didn't get the Ruidusborn or the undead. It got everybody else. And that just made me think.
Well, they might have passed the saving throws, right? Like they may have actually passed their saving throw, and or Matt may have rolled them because they have higher saves, perhaps.
Perhaps, yeah. But I didn't see that. So that was my initial thought. I'm like, and they did bring it up later. It's like, oh, the three witches bitches didn't get hit. Just these other guys.
Why?
It's like, oh, but we're Ruidusborn. It's like, but I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't that doesn't hold water. It's actually, I think it's just the fact that they have higher saving throws or saving throw bonuses. DC for something like that usually isn't that high because if it takes out commoners, it's going to be something that's just like, it could be a DC of like 14. 13, 14, something like that.
It's a bit cutthroat saying it doesn't hold any water. It could be undead and Ruidus based.
I suppose, yeah. Yep.
Because, it didn't even... Well, I mean, I don't know what Matthew was rolling behind the board, but when, Imogen, he was just like, nope, you don't feel anything.
Yeah.
And that could be because she's exalted. She's, Fern never asked, so we never got a thing there. And then when everything was undead, like... I was like, oh, okay, well, Laudna fits right in.
I love Fern's chaos through all of this stuff where she's just being so... The conversations about sex were just amazing. When it's essentially group chat. And you're having a group chat, and two of the coworkers in your office group chat are talking about the hooked up on Saturday night and recounting all the best parts of it. And I'm like, this is a group chat, man. What are you doing here? Anyway, weird.
That's right. You upset because he hasn't tried flirting with you since the last time? We can all hear this,
Yeah, it was amazing. That's my thing. I want to know where this entity comes from and what it is and why it's there and what it's doing and why it didn't go through the portal to the moon. Because you'd think that something like that would do, but there maybe are reasons why it didn't. And I'd like to know those reasons. That's all.
Yeah, and it could be, what's the term? Stop dropping your die, you fucker. What's the word? Like your diaphragm. It's a semi-involuntary, but that's not the right word. I spent a lot of time thinking of that one. It's one of these creatures that just works on instinct, instead of
okay.
Just like the Higgs boson has a field where shit just changes,
okay. Right.
It just exists, and then that's just how it works, It's not making choices. It's just
instinct.
Perhaps, yeah. Just works on instinct. That's just what it is. Like I didn't choose to have a gravitational pull, but here we go. Here we are. I've run out, but I can improvise if I happen to win the next roll.
I actually don't have much more to talk about
Oh,
either.
you know, I
mean,
got
we're
one
back-
more. I got one more.
Okay, go for it. Let's do
do
a
one
rolling.
more. All right, let's get one more rolling in there. With an 18, I'm going to take this one.
3.
All right. Speaking of Matt and Jester, like in campaign 2, when Jester wasn't there, Matthew was like, he didn't touch that character, you know, because who can play Jester like
Yep.
Laura? It just doesn't exist. You know, that one girl, that one woman they found for the ads and all that stuff, like she does a really good impression, but I don't think that she could play her like Laura
No,
does.
not as
a
not
chance.
as good as yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there like I was analyzing, you know, Matthew's performance of Jester, and I'm like, okay, this is good. But the whole time, I bet Laura was sitting there like, well, she would. Oh, can I just play this real quick?
It'd be
You
a
know?
little bit different, yeah.
Like
Yep.
as soon as Matthew said like a bat out of hell, I was like, Jester, definitely. And I'm sure that Jester would have chosen different words and just like shouting different things and be like, "Who is that?" Yeah, I can't do it. Fuck, I'm not even gonna try. Nowhere close to it. But I think Matthew did a fine job,
was a good-
relative to anybody else.
Yes,
He's second best at playing Jester, basically.
Yeah,
But
think
I
he's-
just felt that the whole time. I'm like, can you guys just switch roles? He could play Imogen, you play Jester. Go ahead.
just for a quick little moment here. You do Jester, and then right. Well,
I think that'd be
you
a
know, the
smart
reason-
move, a cool move. You know, just like
The reason why that doesn't work is because Imogen or Laura has no idea what Jester is been up to or doing right now, and I think there's a reason for that. I think well, if you remember the Mighty Nine in London, when they come together, they all full on say they're like, okay, we at the end of the episode we better go off and find these other ones that have escaped and do these other things. Matt clearly, very, very, very clearly doesn't want Vox Machina or Mighty Nine involved in what Bell's Hells is doing.
right.
He's making a concerted effort, which actually brings me to my big point, which is why the fuck didn't Keyleth want to come immediately?
Dovetail. Didn't that get discussed?
Orem says, listen, we have a back door here. We know where we're going. We know how to get to the moon undiscovered. You would think, I would think, that if somebody told me that, I would be like, holy fuck, this could change the war. We just have to send a bunch of us and do some major spying or some espionage or some crazy stuff in there and really fuck things up. And then we could end this war and stop all of the conflict that's happening at the Bloody Bridge.
Having the back door makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm like, she's just like, oh yeah, okay, well I got to finish up what I'm doing here, and then I'll send some people there to check it out. I'm like, that's not what somebody would say to that. It feels like Matt is making a concerted effort not to involve them in it because he wants the Bell's Hells to have that agency, to have them to do these things and report back, and then they will go on. Because if she said, oh wait there, I'm coming, then it suddenly becomes, okay, well, now they don't have a reason to go back to the moon again because now they've done their job and they've got, oh, and then I have another thing to say about that too, if I can.
Yeah, go for it.
But yeah, anyway, that's my thing that I have to say about that. I don't know why. I would think that if you knew that there's only one way to get to this moon, you can't use it because it's protected by the soldiers and the stuff that's at the Bloody Bridge at the excavation site. So why wouldn't you want to get to another backdoor place?
Really thought it was funny. Like I was right there with them. It's like it sounds like you're at this place. That's in Isilra. What about the moon? Like
yeah, right.
Good point.
Right.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold
on a second now. Shit. What we should have opened with that.
Like that just sounds so flaky. There's like, right, you guys are going recon up here, and we're like, yeah, we went to Isilra instead. Like, what the fuck?
I thought we sent you to the moon. What are you doing near Vasselheim? No,
and they were doing the 25 word thing, right?
Yeah, they were trying to.
Like loosely-ish.
They weren't doing it very well. Yeah, they weren't doing very well. I have another thing to say about that.
That's about all you get. Yeah.
It is. Here's another thing. Remember, so Orem made the agreement with Nanamori, right?
Oh, yep. He still had a lot to do.
My friend, what was the agreement? Make sure everyone gets back from the moon safe?
Yep.
Well,
and then he has to... Oh, that's true.
Yeah, guess what? They got back from the moon safe.
They did. So he has to do what he's doing. Or I don't remember what his was. Like bring him.
It was at his side, at her side for eternity or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. A protector of hers. Yeah. He's gonna turn into a plant, dude.
Yep. Interesting thought, right? Like, but then they went back to the moon. So does that mean that the agreement's still in effect?
I guess they didn't really say
Is
how many times they come back safe.
Oh no. So there's wiggle room, I suppose, but it's very much like Fey spirits, Fey whatever, to do things like that. You're just like, oh no, I said, and you're back, and so the agreement's done. You're out.
Well, that side is, yeah. I wonder if that's how it works. Once one person does it, then it's. I mean, you both have to do it, right?
I don't know.
Oh wow, maybe
Yeah.
Maury had something to do with this portal. She's like, here we go. Here's my end of the bargain. I get you now, buddy. Because there's no contingent. I'm using the wrong words. Just congruity, contingency. There seems like there's the worm thing that built the tunnel, and then there's the portal, and then there's this thing that draws things into the lake for no reason, and then there's no connection here. There's no connective tissue.
Exactly.
Maybe Maury, the fate stitcher, sitting there.
That's
being
my
like,
point.
This is a good place to put him.
What the fuck is going? So yeah, what the fuck is up with that?
And then
but that's about it. That's all I've got. So we've got.
Chetney's was bring something of the god back to them, or something of the moon back to her.
From Predathos. Bring something of Predathos
Just
back.
of the moon, right? Or no, of the god,
of
right?
the god, yeah.
Which that's going to be hard to decipher.
Big
So
ask.
he definitely has to go back. And I don't remember what she was gonna do. I don't remember.
He's a master craftsman. Remember, he crafts something in the middle of the night and then puts it away.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't. Man. Wait, it wasn't the age thing.
No, he didn't ask for that. He wanted to be a legendary craftsman.
Legendary. That's
not
what it was.
a master. He's already a master craftsman. He wants to be a legendary. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They whispered about that a little bit. That slipped under my radar. Yeah.
So here we are. We're on the moon again with no hero's feast, no misty form. They have the mind shield scroll for 8 hours. They have just enough charges to teleport, and they also do not have the non-detect. They never cast it. So Odahan, all Odahan has to do is, she knows they're there. All she has to do is find somebody who can cast locate or wear a scry on them, or who the fuck knows what. We'll see. I think they made some mistakes. I think they made some big mistakes. But they can teleport out if they have to. So they do have a chute. They do have a parachute if they need it.
Yeah. And as long as they can get back to it, which I don't think that'd be very hard for them.
All right, listen, buddy. I'm exhausted. I've had a very long day. We had a long D&D session today, and I told Tim this earlier. I TPK'd the party today, so it's been a long, exhausting day.
I love TPKs because I've just never seen one, so I just want it to happen.
It was fun. Well, like I told you, I had a backup plan if they did get TPK'd, and I was really struggling not to let the smile and the happiness show on my face, because I was like, oh god, this is
well this one was
traumatic.
Crying, and these two were stunned, and it's like And you're sitting there like,
yeah, I had this. I already knew what was going to happen. I had a lifeline. I knew that they were going to do a thing. So, anyway, yeah, that's that.
All right, then. What time is it? Then?
All right, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, it's 8:15. All right.
I gotta go get some. I gotta get some dinner. Take the pupper out. She's passed out. It's hilarious.
Yeah, she's been passed out the whole time.
Yeah, she's still breathing.
She's in your frame now too. Now that we've redone the cameras and shit.
Nice. All right, bud. Let's wrap this up then.
Yeah, sounds good.
For what it's worth, we're off next week because there is no episode this weekend. They're doing Candela Obscura, the number 4, which is Crimson Mirror, the Circle of Crimson Mirror. Liam will be GMing this one.
I wish I was into that program, man.
I know it's not my genre. I don't like that kind of steampunk sort of a thing. Doesn't do anything for me.
It's a lot of content that's I'm just not into. You know, it's
exactly. Well, you can't be into everything, man. I've made my peace with that. It's okay. Some people love it. I talk to people that are like, "Yeah, I love it. It's so cool." I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool. I'm really happy for you." It's not my thing.
Yeah, it's really like in MITS too, and I just kind of lost sight of it. But I'd see myself going back. I think what stopped me is because finding my place in that they had that one long, like 7-hour thing, and I don't remember the timestamp where I left off. Anyway, but yeah, I'd like to go back and revisit that because they're on their 4th season or something like that. I'm like still in number. Well, I'm still in number 1. Yeah.
They just started number 3.
Oh, okay, cool. How does this work?
It's on
then?
you.
Okay.
Wrap it up.
Well, then, if you want to get in touch down there. Sorry we missed a day. My PC, I hope I can take care of it and make sure it doesn't shit out again. Get in touch in the comments. It's better than email or whatever. Follow him at all socials. Ben Greenspoon, at Ben Greenspoon. Follow me on Instagram, drummatucka. Might have a show coming up on March 23rd up here in Taiwan. After
Nice.
that, I don't think we're going to have a show for a while because Shoney's got a baby boy coming out at about that time.
Baby.
So, I don't know. And, yeah, next week off. So, in 2 weeks, we'll be here. Thankfully
Hopefully.
we got this weekend.
Four-sided dive, too.
Yep, so we'll have plenty to talk about. Yep, theories, comments. If we're full of shit, if we miss something huge, get in touch, as you always do. All right, cool, man. If that's it, if there's nothing else, don't forget to love each other. And is it finally Friday? Peace, y'all. Peace.